It's late October, and in the Northwest, that means fall is in full swing. I was lucky enough to have an opportunity to squeeze one more backpacking trip in before winter set in. So I took a couple of days off of work, loaded up my pack, and set out for Montana. Oh, it's heavy already. Got my guy with me. The plan was to do a 2-night, 3-day trip. The first day I would hike over to Bonanza Lakes from the Lost Lake trailhead. I'd stay there the first night, then hike back the way I came and stay at Lost Lake on the second night. The hike over to Bonanza Lakes would take me up onto the Continental Divide at 7,000 feet. The forecast called for rain down in the valley the whole trip, and I knew that with temperatures as low as they were, it could mean snow in the high country. Really pretty. Check the map here and see if we're getting close to the lake. Been moving at a pretty good clip. I expect things are gonna get steep here soon. I had noticed on the map that there was a little spur trail going over to some falls. Since we weren't planning on doing that many miles, I decided to check them out. Wow, those falls were really cool. We're back to the trail junction now, and we'll continue heading up to Lost Lake. We're still ready to go. Well, we're up above the falls trail, which we crossed that meadow down at the bottom. You climb quickly to get up here. I've been making good time up the mountain. I came out onto a meadow where I could see up the hill a ways. It looked like there might be a little snow up there. That would mean there could be snow up on the ridge. I might have to improvise my plans. The weather was cooling down the higher I climbed. It continued to drizzle on us. And it might be all in my head, but I thought the rain was trying to turn into snow. My pants were soaking wet from the brush alongside the trail. In these wet conditions, getting a fire going was no guarantee. A little muddy through here. Well, that pretty much confirms my fears. The snow line's just a couple hundred feet above us. We might even hit it getting down to Lost Lake. That's as far as we're going this trip. We kept climbing up the mountain, and that snow line kept getting closer and closer. I started to worry that if I did hit the snow and there was more than a couple inches, I might have to turn back. I knew it was going to rain, and I was prepared for that. I even knew that I might get hit by a little snow, and I was prepared for that too. But I wasn't prepared to deal with any deep snow. Despite all my concerns with the weather, it was a beautiful hike and we were having a great time. We're definitely in the snow now. Just a dusting. My legs are soaked. And they are getting cold. I hit the snow line before I made it to the ridge above Lost Lake. I started to have thoughts of turning back.
I was prepared for the cold temperatures, but there was a very real chance it could snow more. And if it dropped more than a few inches of snow, I could be in trouble trying to make my way out. Finally, I came over the ridge and caught my first glimpse of Lost Lake through the trees. The trail took me right down to the shore. I stood on the shore for a few minutes, soaking in the mountain scene played out before me. It wasn't long before the cold started to creep in and it was time to find a camp. There were signs of an old campsite where the trail brought me down to the lake. It had a grassy opening and an old campfire ring, but there were no trees nearby and the brush was thick. It just wasn't going to work. I could see on the other side of the lake where it looked like the trees came down to the shore. It looked like good terrain for a camp. I didn't see any trails going off in that direction on my hike down, so I'd have to bushwhack my way over to that side of the lake.
Well, we have left the main trail. The trail came out over there on that side. The wind was just blowing hard, and there's no decent spots for hammocks there. So there was a campfire ring, but I've decided to go off trail here, trying to get over to this point where I think there might be a better camp for me, even if I gotta make it. But it's not terrible, but I got a lot of alder to get through here. With this pack, it's not that fun. Well, we were bushwhacking through and I saw some flagging. So I went up to it. It led to a trail. And we followed that. There was a few flags. And then they just kind of ran out. I'm on a little trail here. I haven't seen a flag in a while. But this is going towards the lake, so I'm hoping we're on to something here. I have a feeling somebody else thought the same thing as I did, and that other site was not suitable. You get up around enough of these mountain lakes and you can just kind of tell by the terrain where a decent site's gonna be. And it definitely looked like there was one on this end of the lake. Well, see if I can pick up this trail. Looks like it just ran out.
After picking up the trail again, it led me right where I wanted to go. And just as I suspected, there was a campsite already there. There was some firewood left near the fire pit, but it was all wet. I was going to have to search out some dry wood before I'd be able to get a fire going. I was wet and getting cold, so a fire was a must.
All right, well, I've swapped out my sweaty shirts for some dry ones, and we're feeling a lot better, a lot warmer. Really liking this site. I can tell the wind is gonna come in. I'm gonna stretch my hammock right there. That way I can put the one side down and block the wind. Should make for a pretty damn warm night. Let's get that done and let's get on fire duty.
While I was setting up camp, the rain turned to snow.
So many reasons here that make me want to leave. So many reasons here that lead me to believe. Over the mountain where the city lights they call, and my bags are at the door when my reserve begins to stall. 'Cause it's so hard to pick up all the pieces and try to start again, and then it's so hard. Follow the winding river and it leads you.
Well, we got this thing going pretty good now. It's about 20 to 4. I think we got a sustainable fire here. I've been grabbing driftwood off the beach there, and it seems to take okay. I used a couple of pieces of their cut wood, but that's about it, so I'm pretty happy with that.
And don't you try to stop me, 'cause I'm headed it's in my head. But there's still one thing, or just a little something that isn't dead.
Not sure if he's having a
And
good
it's
time.
you. Oh, it's you. I see your pretty smile, and it leads me back to the heart.
Starting to snow again.
Yesterday I heard
Sure you
that
can't see it.
another mind closes doors.
You can feel
Well,
it,
I've
though.
lost track of the count, but I know that it's a few more. Driving down the street, see the vacancy abound. I won't see it fall because I will not be around. Yes, it's so hard to pick up all the pieces and try to start again, and then it's so far. Follow the winding river, and it leads you back to the heart. Follow the winding river, and it leads you back to the heart.
Alright, well, it's about 3 in the morning. It's been raining and blowing all night. I've been just snug as a bug, warm. Let's see if I can go back to sleep.
Despite the nasty weather, I had one of the most warm and comfortable nights I've ever had in a hammock. The next morning, however, was a very different story. It was raining, snowing, and blowing all morning. I decided that I was just going to pack up and hike out. I tried to do all my packing underneath the tarp because the wind off the lake was icy cold, and it was chilling me to the bone. Despite my best efforts to stay warm, my hands got to the point where they were almost numb. Packing up became incredibly difficult, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to pack up all my gear.
I finally have enough feeling in my fingers to be able to give an update. We're probably a mile down the trail from the lake. That was by far the most difficult teardown I have ever done. My hands were just frozen. It's snowing on me, but the snow is not the bad part. It was the damn wind coming off that lake. Oh, that was difficult. I didn't even pack up the way I wanted. I almost left my tarp. I was so cold, but I just bundled it up and strapped it to my pack. Doing better now. Starting to make some time and kind of walking the cold out of me. That was something else. So I'll feel a lot better once we got to go through this big open exposed part, and then hopefully it'll be just smooth sailing. Well, the trail goes right across that. Timber's loving it. Man, I'm feeling so much better. Can't even see the top of the mountain.
Even though I had a rough start to the morning, once I got on the trail, everything started to get better.
We're cruising down the hill pretty good. We're below the snow line now. Have been for a while. It's kind of snowing, kind of raining. Making good time here. My phone's trying not to work. I think it's getting too wet. So, we're just gonna try to head for the truck. Got a little ways to go yet.
As I worked my way down the mountain, the weather pushed me on and I didn't feel like I should stop for any breaks. By the time I made it back to the truck, I was ready to get the pack off and have a warm, dry place to sit for a while. The trip as a whole didn't end up the way I'd planned, but I almost felt like I got away with something, stealing one more trip before the season changed. The summer season of backpacking was over, and it has been a good one. Winter was settling in the high country, and before long we'd have snow down in the valley. There's something I love about going into the mountains in rough conditions. I kind of feel like the more the mountain pushes you, the more you get back from it. Even though this trip had its rough spots, I knew that I'd be back to try it all again.